Good evening, everybody. Episode number 35. We've got a good one for you today. There's so much rain, so much pollen. Allergies are like Carter had little liver pills. It's pretty pervasive in our society today. And you'll see the reason why. It's so damn simple. But, you know, the AMA, American Mafia Association, they don't want to know from this information. So let's do a little screen share, get the information rocking and rolling, and we will get the information for you. So, okay. No. There we go. There we go. Okay, Jared, you can see the screen okay?
Yes, sir. We're all good.
All right. Keys to curing allergies. And it's episode 35. I strongly recommend getting my book, Remove the Splinters and Watch Your Body Heal. And Appendix G, I believe, it has a whole section on intestinal toxemia, which is a key component of allergies. So you'll be able to read that. It's I use the KISS principle, keep it simplistically simple. And, the closer you get to the truth, the more simplistic the solution. And you'll see absolutely this book is a game changer because it focuses in on splinters, initiators, on cancer, Parkinson, you name it. And it gives you many, many things to look for as potential problems. It's available on ghsdoc.com, and you can download it. It's very, very powerful. The feedback has been great. The other interesting book I'm strongly recommending is my Cancer Deconstructed. It's a game changer also. The American Mafia Association, FDA, Big Pharma, they don't want you to know this stuff because it's too simple. Honest to God, it's too simple once you see what's going on. So basically, it's an expose of the medical industry's illusion about cancer and chemotherapy treatment hoax, provides 3 scientific mechanisms that initiate cancer and how to reverse them. So anyone who has cancer or you want to prevent it, this is the book for you. It's available on printed version or ebook at ghsdoc.com. For those of you that want to investigate a really great documentary that I was interviewed in. It's called Root Cause. It's available on Amazon. If you go on my website, icnr.com, there's articles and there's video excerpts of my presentation in Root Cause. It's a very powerful video. It's based on a true story. So I strongly recommend getting savvy on the toxicity of root canals because they can wreak havoc in your body. So again, it's available on Amazon. So it's better to walk alone than with the crowd going in the wrong direction. Herman Siu. The key is, the masses are following the Pied Piper and they're going to go off the end of the pier. So, if you're taking drugs to mask symptoms, you're walking down the wrong path. Okay, so why medicine's approach to allergies is obsolete. So medicine's approach to allergies, well, they're only treating symptoms with toxic chemicals, topical corticosteroids, oral antihistamines to help control itching. It's like painting on rust. It may look good for a little while, but, the long haul, it's not solving your problem. Immunosuppressive medications in severe cases, oral steroids. Steroids are dangerous as hell. They basically suppress and push the infections, the problems deeper into the tissue, and it basically suppresses your immune system. When they do organ transplants and they put you on steroids, you're going to die of a cold because you have no immune system, these poisons. It's off the wall mentality, Neanderthal, basically. So every recommendation involves drugs to mask the symptoms. And this is why modern medicine's approach to allergy treatment and other medical conditions is obsolete because they're only dealing with the wagging tail of the dog. So medicine's allopathic treatment of allergies. I mean, this is a joke. I thought the Three Stooges were funny until you start reading the advertisements for the allergy drugs and treatments. Allergy treatment options. Avoidance. So you want to move to Arizona, you want to go to the moon, get away from it all. That's really great logic. Eliminating or decreasing your exposure to the irritants or allergens that trigger your symptoms. Take medication and immunotherapy, allergy shots. You like a pincushion. This is their whole paradigm is warped, it's obsolete, and Neanderthal mentality. So traditional medicine's false narrative is like the false news that's being broadcast today. So the facts. So allergies are the 6th leading cause of chronic illness in the U.S., with an annual cost in excess of $18 billion. More than 50 million Americans suffer from allergies each year. The U.S. spends more money on healthcare than any other industrialized country, and we have the worst statistics. In fact, we're last among the top 11 industrialized countries. We spend twice as much as any other country, and we're last. So that tells you that the system is broken. Yeah, you have to get down, Nikki. So asthma and allergic diseases such as allergic rhinitis, hay fever, food allergies, and eczema, they're common for all ages in the United States. So asthma affects more than 24 million people in the U.S., including more than 6 million children. So, giving these antihistamines to kids, it just sedates them. It's not solving the problem. Allergic rhinitis, often called hay fever, it's a common condition that causes symptoms such as sneezing, stuffy nose, runny nose, watery eyes, itching nose, eyes, and the roof of your mouth. Again, it's all histamine reactions. So natural approaches to resolving allergy. So you have to understand the underlying physiological causes for allergy. Once you understand that, then you know that what they're trying to push on the TV ads for Claritin and the other garbage drugs is just a joke. So bronchial asthma, hay fever, all kinds of seasonal allergies, they're caused by 2 primary factors. One is an overactive parasympathetic nervous system. Now, your parasympathetic nervous system is like the brakes on your car. It slows things down. It aids digestion, for example, increases salivation, increases digestive juices, okay? And the other primary cause of allergies is an underactive sympathetic nervous system. Your sympathetic nervous system is like the gas pedal in your car. It speeds things up. So it's a combination of overactive parasympathetic and underactive sympathetic. So taking drugs to mask the symptoms is not getting at the root cause. You're avoiding to deal with the underlying issues. Now, the factors that activate the parasympathetic activity. So histamine activates it, okay? Acetylcholine, it's another chemical in the bloodstream that activate the parasympathetic. And low levels of cholinesterase, and that suppresses the acetylcholine. So you have these 3 factors keep the parasympathetic going and all your allergy symptoms going. Histamine, acetylcholine, and low levels of cholinesterase. Now, the factors that activate your sympathetic activity. Norepinephrine, these are catecholamines. Norepinephrine and epinephrine are 2 hormones produced by your adrenal medulla. So they're very, very important because they counteract the parasympathetic. And cyclic AMP, it's a cyclic adenosine monophosphate. They sound like big names, but as we go through it, you'll see how the physiology works and why you're suffering. So the parasympathetic nervous system causes constriction of smooth muscles in the lungs, which are causing asthma, which is the closure of the air passages, making it harder to breathe. The parasympathetic also causes the mucous membranes to secrete mucus, causes itching, hives, and your nose and eyes to become watery. So that's the physiology of it. It's the parasympathetic system. Now, of interest, your cranium and your pelvis represent the parasympathetic part of your nervous system. The thoracolumbar represent your sympathetic part of your nervous system. So that's your yin and yang, your balance of the body. And interestingly, your front teeth, canine to canine, develop from the neural tube, which gives rise to your sympathetic nervous system. Your back posterior teeth, the bicuspids and molars, develop from neural crest cells, which give rise to the parasympathetic part of your nervous system. So throughout the whole body, you have yin and yang balance systems. Same thing with your hormones. Your estrogen, for example, stimulates sympathetic part of your nervous system, and progesterone stimulates the parasympathetic. So again, balance, hormone balance, teeth balance, everything. Everything in the body has backup systems and balance for homeostasis. So your parasympathetic causes the smooth muscles of the blood vessels in your brain to dilate. This is why you get headaches. There's no mystery to this stuff. So you take aspirin or you drink coffee, caffeine, that'll constrict your blood vessels, make your headache feel better for a little while. But when you stop, when the caffeine wears off, you're going to get a rebound effect and get a headbanger. And that's why you get worse, because the blood vessels dilate even greater than they did before. So a patient who has bronchial asthma, allergic rhinitis, or seasonal allergies will release specific chemicals within the body that mediate the symptoms, your watery eyes, nose, itching, mucus secretions, hives, etc. So here we go. Your histamine release. There's 3 cells that primarily contain the histamine. They're called mast cells, eosinophils, and platelets. So the 3 reasons for histamine release are: 1, the blood becomes too acidic. Well, if you're eating the standard American diet, they call it the SAD diet, with all the processed foods, your blood's going to be acidic, and that's a big problem. Okay, your ionic blood calcium levels are too high. So when you're too acidic, the calcium gets into your bloodstream at higher levels. And cyclic AMP levels are too low. So your cyclic AMP is a cyclic adenosine monophosphate, which is a chemical produced by certain hormones in the presence of magnesium. Unfortunately, a high portion of the population, I'd say around 73%, are deficient in magnesium, maybe even higher, because people don't like dark green leafy vegetables, and that's where the magnesium is present. So the histamine is locked into a zinc heparin histamine complex or molecule by the cyclic AMP. So if you're lacking magnesium, like most people are, you're not going to lock in that zinc heparin histamine complex. Okay? If your blood's too acidic, you get too much histamine release, and if your ionic calcium is high, you're going to get too much histamine produced. So it's all basic physiology 101. And the funny thing was, 55 years ago when I studied it in dental school, I just memorized it, regurgitated, didn't really understand it. But now that I went back and dug it all up, it all makes so much more sense. And, it's more meaningful. So there's 2 steps for the release of the histamine. Step 1 is the allergen, okay, the pollen or whatever, attaches to the immunoglobulin E, and that forms your antibody, which then releases the histamine from the small granules within the mast cells, eosinophils, and platelets. So now you get a release of the histamine, but it's still inside the cell. Step 2 releases it from inside the cell to the bloodstream. So elevated ionic calcium in the acidic bloodstream causes the release of histamine from inside the cell into your bloodstream. So there's 2 steps in the process. So the histamine in the bloodstream causes the release of acetylcholine, which then activates the parasympathetic nervous system and keeps the cyclic going more and more and more. And that's why people's allergies keep getting worse and worse and worse. So insufficient level of catecholamines. So that's norepinephrine and epinephrine. Norepinephrine also has another significance. That's what causes your heart to beat stronger, to pump the blood around the body. And the reason why people get congestive heart failure, because when you don't produce enough norepinephrine, your heart weakens and the blood can't perfuse through the organs, the liver, the kidneys, and so forth. And that's when the body starts to deteriorate. So it's a very powerful hormone. So traditional American diet, poor diet, processed foods, electromagnetic fields, synthetic vitamins, emotional distress, nutritional deficiencies, prescribed medications, structural imbalances, and chemical toxicity all weaken your adrenal glands. When your adrenal glands get weak, the amount of norepinephrine and epinephrine go way down. The bottom line is, if you are sensitive to bright lights, whether it be fluorescence or sunlight, or if you go into IKEA and it drives you up a wall, you have a very high probability of weak adrenals because they control the iris of your lens of your eye. If you get up quickly from a lying position and get lightheaded, it's another indicative sign that you have weak adrenals. So the norepinephrine and the epinephrine, which is released from the adrenal medulla, balances the acetylcholine, which regulates the parasympathetic. So there's your yin and yang. You have your adrenals, okay, and they pump out the norepinephrine and epinephrine, and that regulates the acetylcholine. So it keeps everything in balance. So the norepinephrine stimulates the beta-2 receptors in the smooth muscles of the lungs, causing them to dilate and stop an asthmatic attack. So that's why when you have an anaphylactic shock and your lips swell up and your throat swells up, they give you a shot of adrenaline for the simple reason it dilates your bronchioles by stimulating the beta-2 receptors in the smooth muscles of your lung. So that's the basic physiology. It's not rocket science. It's real straightforward. So the mechanism of action. So the allergen, like pollen, will cause the release of histamine. The allergen can enter your bloodstream through either the skin, your lungs, or your digestive system. So since pollen is airborne, it must enter through the nasal passages and the lungs. Sensitivity to airborne allergens indicate that your mucous membranes in your nose and your lungs are compromised. So this is what allergy is all about. It just depends where the weak links are that dictate the type of allergies that you possess. So if it's airborne allergies, you got compromised mucous membranes. If allergens enter through your intestines, food allergies, it's indicative of a leaky gut, which can be caused by glyphosate, a dysbiosis, meaning pathogenic bacteria in your intestines, toxins, like dioxin, for example, mercury, formaldehyde, okay, and trap vaccines and their adjuvants, and parasites. And I just had a woman in today from Long Island. She had parasites, and she had a low back pain. And the interesting thing is, when I had her hold the ivermectin, which are effective against parasites, the area of the lower back then tested strong, which meant that the lower back pain was coming from the parasites. So you have to start connecting the dots to understand the mechanisms of what's going on in your body. You just don't keep treating the area of symptomatology and think that you're going to get a home run. You have to, invariably, the area of the symptomatology is not the area where it's causing the problem, unless you get, of course, a contusion or a break in the bone or something like that. But probably in the high 98, 99%, the area of symptomatology is not the area of the cause. So allergens that enter through your skin indicate a poor quality of your epithelial tissue or your skin. So histamine can only be released from the cells into the bloodstream when the blood is too acidic. So an acidic blood also releases ionic calcium, which releases histamine from the mast cells, eosinophils, and platelets into your bloodstream. So it's all about being too acidic. And again, most people are too acidic, and we'll get to that shortly. So eating the standard American diet, the SAD diet, acidifies the blood, activating the release of histamine. So the more acidic you are, the more histamine you're going to get released, and the worse your allergy is going to get. So, you'd be squirting 2 bottles of Afrin every hour. In fact, at one point, when I was in the military, I was addicted to this stuff. I had a bottle of Afrin in my car, one in my clinic, one in my shirt pocket all the time. And my friend had to put me on Sudafed. It took me 3 days to get unhooked to the darnafrin. So that's no fun, people. So you have to look at the causative factors and not just keep treating the symptoms. So the solution, you have to alkalize your body by eating dark green vegetables, kale, collard greens, broccoli, spinach, asparagus, bok choy, celery, cilantro, and so forth. And taking organic food-based supplements such as Pure Synergy, which is like Sunoco racing fuel. It's made from over 60 different organic and wild-crafted herbs, grasses, minerals, and vitamins. So the more alkaline you are, the higher your oxygen content, the less chance you're going to have degenerative diseases and cancer also. So it's, there's not a diet for allergy, a diet for cancer, a diet for Parkinson's. It's a diet for health. The more alkaline, the healthier your body's going to be. So you must detox the intestines. Again, in my book, Remove the Splinters and Watch the Body Heal, Appendix G has a fantastic article. And Alan Immerman, who wrote it, went through the medical literature for 100 years. The key factor in causing all allergies is a toxic intestine. And, I just put together an online course for detox that gives you all the details and the 6 phases that you should go through for, a real good detox, because it's basically your intestines represent 60 to 80% of your immune system. And there's a direct connection between your colon and your brain. It's through the vagus nerve. And 90% of that vagus nerve is a one-way street from your colon to your brain. The more toxic your colon, the more toxic your brain, the greater chance for dementia, ALS, Parkinson's, you name it. That's what it's all about. And this article covers heart problems, you name it, pancreas problems, liver problems, allergy, acne, pretty much everything under the sun, because when you have a toxic intestine, you have putrescine, cadaverine, histamine release, all kinds of toxic chemicals that are absorbed into the bloodstream and circulate around your body. So again, those of you who are interested, there's some of you who may have taken the advanced course. It's very detailed and gives you the whole 9 yards, so to speak, everything you need to know. So there's 2 key acupuncture points that can give you immediate relief. So there's 2 auricular points on the ears that will dissipate an asthmatic attack immediately, or even general symptoms. First is point number 51, and that's called the sympathetic nervous system point. It's located on the lower portion of the cura of the antihelix. The second point is number 31, known as the antihistamine or panting tranquilizer point. So point number 31 is the major point to stimulate first. Then you stimulate number 51 afterwards. So you can stimulate the points using a simple red or green laser pointer that is used for lecturing, a 5 milliwatt, and you pulse it over the point. So stimulate each point for about 10 seconds. You can treat, the treatment can be done 3 to 5 times per day as needed. So here's the ear points. They're real simple, easily accessible. You don't need needles. And your bottom point is the antihistamine or panting tranquilizer point. You pulse it for 10 seconds with a laser. And that, again, will help dilate your bronchioles and stop the wheezing. And the second point you want to stimulate is number 51, the sympathetic nervous system point. Okay. Again, it's pretty darn straightforward. I had a patient today. I was treating the auricular points on her ear that represented for her shoulder and lower back. And, Paul Noget was a French physician, and he basically mapped out the ear as an inverted fetus. And the anatomical, if you can look it up online, Paul Noget, I think it's Nogier, Paul Noget, brilliant physician. It took him, about 4 years, I think, to delineate all the points on the ear. but very accurate. And again, you don't need needles. You can just pulse a laser light. So why is the medical profession afraid of natural cure for allergies? Well, it's real simple, folks, because they do not want to lose their golden goose. They make so much money, repeat business from Claritin and Benadryl and all the other toxic drugs that are being pushed over the counter, and people, get hooked on it, just like I was hooked on Afrin. And, the rebound effect when the Afrin would wear off was worse than when it originally started. So you get addicted to the stuff. So.
That's all, folks.
Okay. So hopefully that gave you a good overview of what's going on. If people have any comments, the key, as I spoke to in the past, you have to clean out the intestine. So I gave you the information about the food grade diatomaceous earth. You start off with like a teaspoon and 8 ounces of water first thing in the morning. You drink it first thing in the morning, so it goes to an empty intestine and stomach. And that basically does 3 things. Number 1, it scrubs the walls of your intestines, gets all the mucus, plaque, and any other junk that's been hanging on for years. Secondly, it absorbs toxins from your stomach, intestines, colon. And thirdly, it literally lyses and kills parasites, which is a very important component. So you're getting 3 major actions, and the stuff is cheap as anything, cheap as dirt, because it is dirt, but it's sanitized and sterilized. After a week of the teaspoon, you bump it up to a tablespoon in 12 ounces of water. Do that for 90 days, and you'll have an intestine like a newborn baby. And the key here is that by scrubbing it and absorbing the poisons and killing the parasites, you're going to alleviate a lot of distress to your liver and your brain. So that's pretty straightforward. As far as parasites, ivermectin or agramectin is inexpensive. It's like $29 for 50 mLs. You can buy it from these farm places. You don't need a prescription for it. It says for animals only, but basically we're animals. And you take it orally. You don't have to inject it. So it's too much histamine why some people become allergic to any supplement. Well, it depends on the supplement. There's a couple of things. Synthetic vitamins work like drugs. So you're not getting a physiologic action. It's more of a chemical drug reaction. The other interesting thing is if you're taking a good quality supplement, that may be stimulating detox. And you may mistakenly say, oh, I'm sensitive to the supplement, when in fact it's triggering off a detox reaction. So you have to, delineate the difference. And there's a whole list of, so-called Herxheimer type reactions, diarrhea, headaches, sore muscles, flu-like symptoms, temperature. And you say, oh, I'm allergic to the supplement. Well, there's a possibility you may be sensitive to something in the supplement. And you literally can muscle test to see, is the supplement causing your problem, or is it a reaction to the detox mechanism that's triggered off? So great question. But yeah, most people, like if you take synthetic B vitamins, it'll make you nauseous, because if you smell it, it smells like a drug, a pharmaceutical drug, and that will make you nauseous. So the key is these prescription drugs get dumped into the bile and into your duodenum and can make you nauseous. And if you're taking too many drugs, your nausea is going to be even greater. So say no to drugs. Let's see, do we have any other questions? So it's all about the sympathetic and parasympathetic. And you can control that with nutrients. And you can, we have a course online called Allergies, Facts and Cure. And that'll be up on Monday, I guess on ghsdoc.live. It'll probably be listed. and that'll go through the specific nutrients that you can use to heal the mucous membrane and so forth. What good brand of natural vitamins? Okay, Kate, I don't use one company, but some of the best companies that I found are Designs for Health is one, Nutricology is another good one, Standard Process is excellent, Premier Research is another excellent company. So my homeopathics, I usually use Energetics from down in Atlanta, Georgia. The key is, I've been doing this stuff for 52 years, and it took me like over 35 years to discover high quality nutrients. Stanley Nye's cordyceps, for example, is one of the most powerful on the planet, and it's like Sunoco racing fuel, and that's a great modulator for anything that's out of balance in your body. So it's taken me a long time. These are the companies that I use like primarily routinely, and I get the best results. And you have to test, even though you may have the best supplement in the world, the energy pattern may not be compatible for that patient at that point in time. So it's a very important concept. You just don't throw a vitamin at somebody because, like I said, it could be the best, but if the energy pattern doesn't match your energy or chi, you're not going to get the maximum results. So do we have any other interesting questions? Jared, do you have, I guess?
No other questions, Doc.
Let's see. Nothing else? I'm a little bit frozen here. Okay. We got froze up here. Anyway, if there's no more questions, God bless you. It's raining out, so it's a nice night to stay in and watch a good movie, which I'm going to probably do to relax. So we'll come up with a good topic for next week and keep rolling. The more knowledge you have, the less fear you have in your life. And don't forget your pine needle tea to counteract the spike protein from those people who've got injected and they're going to be around you. And keep your antioxidants up, and you'll be fine. There's no fear. The only people that are dying are the ones that are nutritionally deficient, low in the thiamine, the B vitamins, and everything. And that's why they're keeling over, because they can't handle the additional distress from the virus. We got thousands of viruses in our body, and you have a healthy immune system, no big deal. So thank you so much for attending. Hopefully you got some good information. You'll understand allergies so much better. So God bless. We'll see you next week.